Yeah, I'm not putting my face on photo right now. Uh, just been kicked back at the house, so I'm not exactly all that well. I won't say decent, but just haven't done a lot. Winter storm passing through type of stuff. Just been laid back. It's January 20th, 2019 now. 2 o'clock a.m. right now. Happened 10 minutes ago. I was waiting for some other occurrences. It's the same something that happened to me in Florida back in 2007, and people was devastated that was around me because they had the same stuff. Microwave, and it's not microwave, it's micro sounding effects, possibly microwave, but micro sounding effects to the point it was hitting inside my cranium, but the micro sounds could also hit the eardrum, affect just almost like LRAD, but it's a lot different. This is a little more fine tuned, kind of like voice to skull type of situation. V2K of what people talk about. The people who was utilizing it was either ATF or fire marshals. Somebody is calling out ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Uh, with the corruption that has been involved with myself, me being targeted even since a child, uh, them utilizing United States government trying to basically end my rights of life to where they have full blown control of life for me, whatnot. A lot of different legal stuff, but anyways, never happened. There's not paperwork for it, and representatively, I have a right for my own independency right now to stand and say I'm independent without them being able to supposedly intervene and say, no, you're under some type of dependency and we have the right to control you. But anyways, getting off that situation, I was hit in my right ear at 1:50, roughly about 1:50 a.m. No more than like 10 minutes ago. I'm facing and I'm looking south side. I'm almost facing exactly south. And the way that it hit me was exactly from the west side, more than likely hitting towards, aimed towards east, heading east. The wave came from the west side of me, but it was aimed and shot heading east. And the sound itself was a basically like a fly again. The other situations that happened in Florida and have happened elsewhere all the freaking time, and some of it is like voice to skull. It's more than just here having it dominating in the area of the face, the body, and being heard. If they don't hit directly where the ear is at, and the wave is measured to the point that it actually goes into the skull, the hearing still perceptualize it, but that wave is still hitting basically, say, center skull, but your eardrums are still picking it up. Anyways, it can affect you, yes. As far as I know, what I've seen on the internet and the probabilities of that, yes. Having to come up with the device itself, I'd have to research the situation on the internet again and all the rest of the stuff. They utilize this stuff in New York City on me too. There is Italians associated with another part of family, and I have a toxic family. That those families, the guy lived down the street from the, well, I won't say family member, is a family supposed friend, was supposedly supposed to have been basically family member, like one of those types of old friends, been around in the family, you invite them in being family, more like aunt, uncle type of situation, but that kind of Jude out there too, ended for the fact, found out they were a part of the targeting class calls, social targeting. You're mentally retarded and we have a right to do whatever we want to you and all the rest. The system doesn't have that type of paperwork. Even if, and me happen to understand how the things work out, I've been explained blue in the face of exactly how everything works and accepting most of it, and then also utilizing the contradiction of implants, having all the psychosocial assaultive actions and everything else, while these guys also know it's deteriorating life and the life stability that I already had. So why would you, if you understand and acknowledge if I had a disability, why would you try to create it being any harsher? That'd be like human rights violations. The same thing with internal fucking ATF, FBI, DEA, militarized base shit, other kids, other families, and these people getting into it back from Colorado Springs of how social life works, and having a whole situation right in front of my face, 1 minute saying, hey, this is normal life. Next minute, it ain't normal life. You need to understand and go get help. I never went and got help as a kid, even if I tried. It was so messed up about battering me around in the system. There was no possibility for me to get true help, is what I felt. There was nobody there to help me. But with that being said, it just gets all messed up. Anyhow, these kids, the ATF, these people, literally, you would think the trustworthy agencies that are, a part of these people, family members or not, there wouldn't be any type of problem. It's government ran. You shouldn't be able to throw in a problem. These people had personal problems with me. They had personal problems with me going to school with their kids. They had personal problems with me having all this. They had personal problems relating from other people's personal problems 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and even prior to that. So they're making a group targeting situation, relaying information from one person to another. One of the major incidences was touching a quadriplegic health student, as we was supposed to be aides to that student in the 4th grade. And ever since then, ooh, you're nasty, you've touched a quadriplegic. It's worse than racism. And it's understood. A lot of people wouldn't put up with that. It's disgusting to them. But for me to be paralyzed for the rest of my life, ridiculed, socially devalued by the ones that socially devalue that type of situation, to stigmate my life completely to the point I have nothing to obliterate. And that's not just the only incident, that was a major incident. How I made decisions. You're mentally retarded because you didn't have, everything was all glory crapped in school in the 4th grade. Cheery, everybody handshake type of situation. That was the supposed guiding light that I was supposed to have, being raised, especially being in school, and what etiquettes, manners, and everything else was don't be down on situations. So I accepted becoming an aide, a temporary aide to this other student. Carrying that back into the conversation, that was 4th grade. We're talking 6th, 7th grade. I dropped out of school after the 7th, basically. I basically sort of dropped out before then, was forced to go back to school. Nobody took acknowledgement that I was saying, hey, the problems don't stop. I'm taking off, There's no reason for me to be here if I'm not going to learn. There's no reason for me to be here if I don't have a right to my own life and be able to do what I wanted to. There's other things involved, yes, but the main concerns as that. I ended up trying to join alternative school. I did homeschooling for a little bit. That was harsh to do, on top of other family problems, other community. Having school problems is normal, okay? All the kids are in school, and I'm still having community problems out and about, whatnot type of situation. So it's not just relatively, to school, it's relative socially, and that would include stalking, following, it's all about social works. Well, some of the shit that I found out years later, it wasn't. It is exactly what I'm saying, targeted acts. These people did not have the right to act the way that they did around me. While they enforced, with that enforcement, we have the right to do it. We're adults at the time, or whatever authoritative ability that they could grapple on, trying to enforce it, whatever would make believable, or whatever else they could scold with. And hey, you're basically under verbal restraint now. I can see that you're under the restraint. You're confused. So since I'm the one that has, I'm stabilized in the mind, comprehensive, capacitated with it, you obey. Well, that shit followed out throughout the years, and other people of law enforcement's figured it out. But either way, getting back into the situation of carrying on about getting zapped in the ear, and it leading back to ATF, FBI stuff, and then it leading back into how and who, what connections. There's another girl that I went to school with. Her dad was either DEA or like FBI, ATF. There's quite a few other kids, military generals or whatever, half generals, all kinds of shit. and them trying to utilize also on top being around a militarized schooling in Colorado Springs. Like, I shouldn't even been there. I should be back, and I'm in Columbus, Ohio again now, that I should be back in the Scuzz shit bowl that they also have connections to. Isn't that strange? You're in Colorado Springs, just like there's other daily life situations to this day, trying to say your community doesn't want this, but yet you're also involved in all these other communities. You're going across the United States utilizing me to label and enforce your power in all of these communities? You want one. Personally, you wanted something, and it's understood to a point. It's not acceptable in certain extents, but you want one community. That's understood. It's not understood for you to follow that person and enforce community laws, places that you're not residential. Places that you have no right to speak up for the community because you're not a part of that community. Anyways, with that being said, all of the bull crap from that, their parents, when the parents and they actually take their legal professional life and start applying it to personal life, that's when crap ends. Having grief from agencies in Colorado because of the shit that's happening with their kids, you should understand this much, and having to leave Colorado after investigations and crackdowns. The thing is was anything ever proven? Crap, yes. Psychological, and it wasn't written out on paper for me just yet, but there's a lot of stuff. There was corruption busted. There was information that was given to me. There was information the police came up to me and told me, not just police, but multitudes of others, but we'll do the police, that I was under investigation because somebody made X amount of complaints. But with that investigation, the other party is perjurizing, so now we understand that you're being targeted. They also put super sonic microphones on their cars because supposedly, somebody's saying, I'm hearing voices, reported it back to them. I'm unstable because I think somebody's following me type of crap. They put microphones on these cars because you couldn't see them following because they was inside their house. How would you know that I'm walking around the community and be able to target me by yelling or talking loud enough or doing something intimidating from inside your house? Something associating. It didn't even have to be intimidating. My name being called out, hi Rod, or something being, hey dude, your sneakers are untied, or whatever it be. Something dumb that's, that would just completely make a person unstable about being private or having their privacy, respecting of being left alone or being able to take care of their own personal life or have their own personal life. Well, the police busted that. I was not lying. It was going on. The microphones picked up and they went and knocked on those people's doors. And on top, how do you know he's coming? That was their question to them. You have to have somebody else calling you on the phone telling you he's coming your way. That's stalking. It doesn't have to get into getting phone records and everything else and making, but I guess it does, to bust the stuff that's going on. And back then, cell phones are basically kind of still brand new. 2006, 2007. You got all this new technology now and all the electronic jamming stuff going on and all the rest. Anyhow, leading into all the truth, leading in behind, I'm saying that I'm being directly targeted and was and still am by government agencies associated with the associations that I've said. There was stuff that was busted in Colorado Springs of misconduction and elsewhere, but we'll do just Colorado Springs because that used to be what would have been hometown. And everybody found out, my complaints were legit. That's not home. It's an abuse, victimized location. The same thing as Columbus, Ohio. The only reason why I'm here is an ex-family house that is owned, that was given to, as my grandfather passed away, given to other family members supposedly, and they kind of transferred it finally into my name, and I'll explain why and how I say that later. But anyhow, it's a safe, it's semi-safe, it's owned. It's a place that I can stay and rest my head. That's all there is. Day after day, there's still these people stalking, following, mouthing off outside the house, intimidated threats about what's already happened to me. Yo, you don't play this. What happened to the Godfather, Bubba? Trying to relate old things that an old uncle that committed suicide, his personalities, and that's another thing, the intimidation of whatever they can utilize, and drawing out the past and showing that they know my information and trying to target me with it. I've traveled, I've gotten away, they've followed and stalked. It doesn't matter where I travel, they have money, they're also utilizing intel, and some of that intel would have to come from law enforcement. And where I'm explaining the corrupt targeting law enforcement, where it started at, what was happening, how much, what that has to apply to my life, what I've understood when I've been told it's not illegal, and then investigations take place, and it's full-blown misconduction, corruptions, and all kinds of things associated. Here in Columbus, the finger was pointed, the origination of the targeting, and whoever's targeting me since a child started originating right here from Columbus, Ohio. And these people organized themselves from Columbus, Ohio, intentionally, knowing that I'd be a case in the future, and utilized me to profit themselves. It may not be money, but personal life, enjoyment, and everything else. Emotional assault, emotional harassment, psychological assault, social assaults, whatever they wanted to thrill on. And the thrill, the power filling, and I was explained this by psychiatrists, the power filling that they're doing, the thrill that they have control. They don't need money, just the power filling of control is the wealth from that. Even though there's probably more to it, but even if there wasn't, just that part is good enough to be criminal. With all that being said, I want to go ahead and post this video. It's a lot of rambling, but then later on, all of this stuff leads out into being targeted, sabotaged, set up, illy and wrongfully, and already been out proven on multitudes of different incidences of being the suspect or being the perpetrator, and then it being alleviated. There's things that they're saying now that I am the suspect and it can't be alleviated. They haven't alleviated it because they haven't found any evidence to alleviate an innocent person. There also is matters, I'm not going to deny that I haven't gotten myself into a little bit of trouble over them pushing stuff around, power playing, and all the rest, which talk to psychological doctors about forced compulsion type of situations, other situations, and it all leads into being sabotaged. And that's where they came up with the words forced compulsion, as I'm explaining legitimately to their system what my problem is. While these people are like, you need to go see somebody. You have a county representative with authoritative psychological authority. That's good enough. You don't need to be deeming, and what I was told, trying to utilize community sanctions. Here in Columbus, Ohio, it's illegal for them to sanction anybody else without the proper paperwork. Period. These guys are professionally trained. They intentionally study so they can target other people. I'll explain that and have explained that a little bit later in more different views for informational videos, trying to express myself, educate the ones that do stop by the channel itself, and also try to see if I can't put together something to get somebody to grapple some help for myself. I need oscillator devices to detect the electronic jamming devices, to detect the data theft, to detect the radio waves that are around me. I've already had somebody utilize and volunteer that in the past. If not law enforcement on top in other states that support electronic jamming tracing, and they bring out the device and find out my shit's being freaking jammed. Excuse the lingo, but anyways. But also personal people that had the money, understanding that I'm being targeted, and came out just to prove what extent to themselves to see, I don't know. Maybe it was just, it wasn't a bluff, but these people associated with the others, and just showing this is what I need to do, and showing me something that I could almost, at the point, I could never own because it costs a lot of money. $3,000 probably for a good oscillator, if not plus. The investigative techniques cost, the skill to be trained on it, stuff like that. A lot of it can be easy, but for actual evidential proof in court, what is needed? But anyhow, these people also proved 100%, showing me This is true. Just believe it just as much. It will put it on police, whatever you can. We'll put it on God type of situation without going that route. But this is the truth. There is somebody around utilizing radio waves around you, interfering with your electronics at the least. If not whatever else is going, there's other stuff around you that shouldn't be. It's abnormal waves around you. Only around you. Ain't even being picked up anywhere else. With that being said, all kinds of other goody good stuff, I'm just trying to produce something for myself to produce out there and get some help. Maybe have somebody understand myself of what's going on besides the corrupt law enforcement trying to come back up after me, and hey, we'll do whatever we want to with you. That's us. That's the law. Especially when I'm trying to push back, I don't have paperwork and proof for all these incidences. Cop intervention and all the rest. The system should have it. You have corruption that happened here in Columbus, Ohio. Officer accidentally presses a button and deletes film footage for a whole year and every last cruiser that was out cruising or some dumb crap like that. That type of evidential button push. Oops. An intimidated thrill throwing it out to the people coming down on the system like we came down on the system in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and that system did change no matter how much mob ties, which was proven truthful, that had control, no matter how much corruption, because it all starts getting into one dinky ideal that it's all bad. Everybody forgets to keep it separated to a point of which way is it working. They're all doing bad things, but you need to separate each incident too and keep it separated before it all falls in. You just keep calling it mobbing, and it is mobbing, it's this, that, but which, who, how much from one side. Each entity that is doing it needs persecuted. Not to wrap them always up as one whole. Even though they're enacting as one whole, then that means that one whole needs persecuted, and then outside each and individual entity can be persecuted. It was taught to me through like gangland information of how gangs and internet networks work, from DARE or DEA or gangland advice that I called in on. I walked in on to see what kind of infrastructure that could happen, if not just also online, of the infrastructures, even gangland people. But we got cops involved. We have law enforcement involved that's trained and given the information of how these operatives work, and then them just operate it them damn selves. But also on top, those who are in the wrong, that are associated gangs or whatever groups, and those who are learning it, they do have the ability to show how these networks, even enemies of enemies, becoming frenemies to produce a situation to participate, associate with that situation, criminal or not, to help out, leverage for whatever reason they want to, or to participate to show that they're hardcore, they will participate, whatnot. That's an individual, another entity, but that's also pointing out that it is a whole group situation working. That whole group situation, when it breaks down to that you have to make entities out of the people that are involved, it's hard to explain to the police that these and them and they're acting out like this, but you also have to take out the situation that they're also individually on top, outside of the one direct targeting, multiplicity of targeting with each and every group or each and every entity of whoever it is. Anyways, with that being said, all kinds of crazy stuff being laughed at. You sound like a nutcase to us. Hey, you're law enforcement with the training. I said something off the wall. I won't even say off the wall, just off that you didn't like, and you laugh at it because you're super intelligent. I've been lawfully trained. I can tell you exactly how that works. I was told by county authority mental health I should be able to explain my situation, and these officers are professionally certified, trained. They have to pass the test to get the job, to understand the things I told the system, the police should also have understood. And these guys are being with asininity. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to do this. This is the type of social degradation, social marking, social targeting effects that they're utilizing against myself, targeting me. And I've seen it also mentioned by multitudes of other people happening to them, giving a cold shoulder, this, that. You people need to explain yourself is what I've been told, because I've looked into targeted individuals for about a year now, year and a half now, even before then, but really trying to start to get involved with the situation. Next thing you know, they're starting to mentally, in public, know what I'm doing at my house, but even still, already associating me with people I haven't even came in contact with completely yet. Your people, those people, your people. How are you labeling my people when I ain't even talked to really anybody yet, and already labeling me with the group of people that I'm looking up, that I'm looking into, that I'm trying to get self-help? That type of assault. But anyways, that's more of me decrying in this video and non-helpful, but just to put together the targeting that is happening. And I have, if you want to come around where I'm at and you feel safe enough and you don't feel that you're going to be harmed and you want to, I'll invite you to the house that I live in. It isn't the greatest place whatsoever. I mean, the house itself, it's low-income housing, but at the same time, as it used to be in a low-income neighborhood, very bad neighborhood, it's grown into now a good, partially, I won't say a good neighborhood, but they just did a bunch of construction around the area. A lot of that construction was nightclubs, but anyways, kind of off the wall there, another place for rowdy-ass shit to happen when, you know, it isn't normal rowdy stuff. I can walk down, I can leave town and have somebody witness a secondary social situation while I'm being bothered elsewhere of happening locally right here until I come back, or whatever it be, I come back and show up into the affected area, and then the situation restart itself like it's an everyday thing, even though it died out after I left. Anyways, with that being said, just a whole lot of stuff. I'm burning up in here. I got the heat up too dang high for the winter time here. Not that that needs to be reported, but to put out a warning that it's already been warned, the things that I'm looking at. And your people, I've been labeled as my kind of people for targeted individuals. You need to understand law. You need to understand social life, social works. There's a lot of things that I gotten into. If I need to learn that, there's a situation with that too. I had books in here in 2009. It's been 10 years ago. The neighbors didn't see nothing, you know, the friendly neighbors see everything, nose stuck up my ass. Even the system said the same thing. They know so much about you. I doubt that they missed your house getting broken into. And the books, the self-help books being stolen. Why would you steal? They was rented from the library. Why would you steal? And they didn't steal all the books, only particular books. There's a $300 book left behind. A lot of other expensive books. The other books were a lot less in cost. I do not know why, because they had better direct information into the ideals that I was trying to protect myself from. The person that was blamed with it later on, that had the other people do it for them, it lives still right across the street, still owns the shop, owns the house now, and all the rest of the stuff. I'm done. The same individual that stalked me across the United States with the other neighbors that I'm around. Woo, glorified, you don't know what you're talking about, you're schizo, all the rest. You're not associated with all this stuff outside Columbus, Ohio. You're not associated with stalking. I can give you incidences, I can give you where the police pulled you over. I'm going to vouch, I'm not saying just because I seen you, the police came in contact with you. I can guarantee if somebody checks out my background and with the information that I give, I guarantee you'll find the associations connectivity. You'll find that this person is connected to this person, even though that person's not around right now, but they're all interconnected. From one state to another, making contact, utilizing me as a targeted individual, creating life sabotage situations, which was explained by mental health, is life-threatening. If it gets so severe, so bad, a person, wants to end their life, but not even that. The body and mind will start shutting down because it is in a depressed mode. It can make a person physically sick. Physically sick is resorting to death. And the type of tactics that these guys are utilizing, I was told by a county official, mental health, it could be resorted and legally understood as life-threatening. No different than a man or a person holding a gun to your head or threatening your life with a gun. threatening all the stuff and intimidating with all the stuff that's going to happen, can happen, all the rest. Anyways, I do want to end this. It was a lot of rambling on, a little bit off the topic of being zapped in the side of the head with a micro sound of a fly. It's winter time. Even though I've seen flies in winter, but the point is given that little extra support. It's winter. Bugs are dead. Inside the house, there hasn't been any bugs, flying bugs, for months. I had fly traps, I have fly swatters, I had this. They all died off because of the winter. All of a sudden, I'm having the same effects that happened to me in Florida State back in 2007. Voice to skull while these guys are punking homosexual organized crime. And I will end the video with that, even though I didn't mention a whole lot of that out of the whole situation. I have in other videos. And I'm not trying to make hate to it. It was affirmed once again by other witnesses. There is other law enforcement as far as being present, looking, or pertaining to be law enforcement, like in New York City, understanding there is a homosexual targeting situation with myself. And I'm not homosexual. I'm heterosexual. With that being said, a group, they're all associated homosexually. Bisexual, transgender, homosexual, utilizing me to step up on. You had gay bars in New York City and them gays walking out and allowing me to know, no, these other gays are wrong. You're being stalked, followed, harassed, everything. What they're doing and trying to influence on top, that it is a bunch of gays, and what you gonna do about it? Every gay in the neighborhood is going to obey every gay in the neighborhood. We got each other's backs. And what happened out there is some of their backs were broken by the other gays saying no to the calls. And for a hard, strong no like that means these guys were pre-planning. They was doing sexual oriented and all the other kind of bullshit, but at the minimum socially attacking the wrong way, trying to cause somebody else harm. 1,000,000,000%, you come where I'm at. Yes, there's laws saying psychological. They've attacked me up and down any which way that they could. I've been beaten almost to death and then blamed I'm not comprehensive enough. I don't have any competency left. I'm a frickin' assault victim. You didn't give any victim rights to that type of situation. Pathetic situations. Anyways, with that being said, I'm going to end this video, just upload it. It's another ramble on wow situation, but in the future. And I keep saying but. I'm getting the paperwork together. I'm getting some things. It'll be this summer when I go venture back out. Or this spring, without giving an idea, because of eavesdropping, wiretapping, all the shit, and them repeating what I'm saying inside my house, at the local grocery store, everywhere else. You'd have to be eavesdropping. I have found cameras in other places that I've stayed, pin cameras, microphones, all kinds of other shit, them iterating that they can see here, we know what you're doing, you little bitch type of situation. Cops involved, as if they have a right to do it. Well, if you're not stable enough to explain what you mean, then there is nothing I can do for you. Which, once again, I'm going to relate back to what the county authorities have said. That's bullshit. So that's also misconduction, and no wonder why I keep trying to venture out and around the police, because the corrupt acts that's happened multitudes of times. Who am I going to get? I don't feel secure enough to even talk to what is supposedly representable law enforcement. There's been internal affairs involved. There's been misconduct. Shit has been represented. There's been stuff that hasn't been represented. Just too much. Chaotic. Anyways, with that being said, you want a real targeted individual, I can guarantee you. And I can also guarantee you do the same thing I did. Travel somewhere. And if you can, like they did in New York City in 2015. They've done it prior to that too. But it was really harsh in 2015, just like the gays and the rest. But not just them. Normal community members walking out and saying, hey, since you've been here, and I was kind of homeless then, basically. I mean, I was living in a tent. I had money, but I was still living in a tent, taking showers at a gym, fitness gym, utilizing it as the shower place, all that kind of situation, life situation. Anyhow, they're telling me, without it being nasty, that I was homeless. No, somebody's followed you into this community. They showed up when you showed up. They've also alterated this community. They're doing more stuff in this community that hasn't ever happened or hasn't happened in a long time. And it has to be you, without blaming me type of situation, but it's you. They are targeting you. I'm just letting you know for your own awareness, if you were not aware, also that somebody else is aware. You don't have to feel that you're mentally incapable of understanding something nobody else understands. Not only in one community, all over New York City, people walking out. I just saw these people. There's people that work downtown day after day after day. The same people that weren't there for years. These people don't know these people from Adam, just like they don't know me. All of a sudden show up day after day after day following me. They don't show up until I am there. They don't leave until I leave. They don't do the things that they're doing until a certain amount of situations. When you have perfectly normal community citizens that can identify that, something's up. And when police say that's not enough evidence to pursue nothing, there is something up. Calling in, trying to get this, and having internal harassment. Even the citizens themselves was saying, it looks like we're going to have to take an overstep and file court-gestured papers and try to help you out of going to a court to enforce the frickin' police to do their frickin' job. To also pursue the system of why the system, once again, is not doing their job. To find out, I want extra information for myself, and they's in the same type of mental state of whom just showed up, whom is pushing out so much enforcement and power. How did they get this power? Why do they get to use this power? Why is it corrupted power, and we can pursue it if it's in a certain particular way, and these people can get in trouble without it being spoke up and just saying it's wrong and it being stopped. It also has to take the course of having a course taken that utilizes money, time, and effort out of myself rather than the system taking care of it. Anyways, ending this video. I'll be uploading other videos, and hopefully it's a lot plainer. I get myself a lot straighter, and also produce the paperwork, the devices that I'm looking into, all kinds of whatever you want to see what a targeted individual. LRAD is one of my most favorite, and everybody else blames the same thing as what I'm hearing, that thinks they're a targeted individual. There is more sophisticated devices, which you would like to hear about, voice to skull, where it actually can go into the cranium, even though you're hearing it, implanting voices. It's still audio. It's not 100%. I will say this. The one that I'm talking about, even though I know of a little bit of others and maybe the comprehension, which would be microwaves, or an implant, convulsive, what they use for electroconvulsive therapy, the same type of situation. The mind itself creating a voice after being electronically shocked, and then you start hearing voices. The one I'm talking about is literally just a sound beam. Now it's hitting your cranium. Your eardrums are still, no matter in the radius of where it's at, even if it goes straight through your head, and it literally going through the tissues of your body, amplifying in the tissues of that body. Somehow, some way, your eardrums are picking it up. Has no effect to the, I won't say no effect, but it has no effect of mental processions. It's not there to affect 100% the mental process like a microwave would, or any type of electroconvulsive therapy type of device, shocking type of wave that would impede the mental thinking. That's the way I'm thinking of it. V2K, voice to skull. The one I'm thinking of is not the hypothetical, which I'll also relate back into and try to get information again of exactly what is possibly being used, which has been utilized in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and everywhere else. On myself, I've had government, literal, dressed up militant type of situations, but they wasn't militant. I call military when you're in your professional uniform, you got your birds, your wings, your stars, and your stripes on. That type of dress suit, or those type of dressing suits, not camouflage, not on the incident that I'm talking about. Sitting there acknowledging, yes, They're utilizing microwaves. They utilize an electronic bird. They've utilized stuff. I'm not going to blame the government when a little bit of them helped out and said, you know what, our devices, these other people are and possibly utilizing against you, possibly built in their own garage, possibly black market stuff and all the rest. Understandably, and trying to pick that up, somebody does need to get involved. Who's the one that's supposedly trying to help me out, but you can't identify what a perfectly good stranger identified within 5 days? You couldn't take the whole life cycle that you've been around me for years and identify anything? Then you're a perpetrator. You have to be the perpetrator, associated with the group and the perpetrating group. I'm going to end this video like I said, and I say that in all my videos due to electronic jamming, which I haven't talked about. There's so much stuff to talk in each video, and I just keep rambling on about the same thing, but the incident just occurred. The micro voice, the micro sound of a fly, and it hit me in the eardrum. It wasn't just external, it literally rattled the eardrum like a fly that flew inside the ear. This time really close, so close that it had been like it swifted across my forehead like it would have been a fly and went straight back past my head up until it hit my eardrum. And that's the way it happened. I know, as far as I can understand, it would have came from the west, aimed towards the east. I'm facing south, so that's how I know that. North was behind my head, north side. I'll get fucking GPS stuff to make it an exact radius. The only way to do that is be in the house that is directly across from me. The people pertain themselves to being undercover detectives with the rights of authority to utilize the electronics and to utilize whatever tactics that they want to against me to investigate. You've had since at least 2007 when I won't say started, when the incident broke out and somebody else exposed you. 2007 to 2019, I'll put it at the summertime, would have to maybe say, back in 2007. So you have 11 and a half years, I think it'd be, of time to get your whole case and everything else done, and you stop utilizing devices to induce information. In 11 and a half years, you should have already been able to induce enough evidence or information to put a certain amount of case together. What was it induced in or introduced in New York City, hopefully, just like Colorado Springs, finally picked up and started busting down on the corruption, is to bust these fuckers. Sorry about the foul language, but that's the way it is. And they didn't believe it wouldn't happen in Colorado, and you ain't gonna be able to do nothing. There was firing, cops was arrested for joyriding in their car. You know what joyriding is? Improperly utilizing a police vehicle for personal use. And I don't mean going just locally to the corner store, jamming out, targeting somebody else, verbally harassing from your car, malrandedly warning wrongfully, just to joyride around in the car and misabuse authority. Anyways, with that being said, like I said, I'm ending this video. That's that.